Hi guys, welcome to the channel. My name is Khaled and today we're going to be talking about the Sorcerer for PvP. Now the Sorcerer has been a little tricky for me trying to figure this out because the Sorcerer class will be my main. So I'm going to be the most critical on this class as of all of them that I've done so far. The Sorcerer right now in my tier list, I have it in the A tier, and only in the A tier because I really want to see like how good it is. I think the biggest issue for Sorcerer is really going to be sustain. The Sorcerer sustains really good in PvE because there's just so many ads. You know, just so much enemies you can kill at once. But single target, if you guys played Sorc in the open beta, you probably felt what I'm talking about. Like when you're fighting a boss 1v1, sustain really sucks. Like you really don't feel like you have a lot of mana regeneration, and it feels like you're almost forced to have to use, you know, your basic regenerator skills, uh, which is okay, I guess, and not okay at the same time. Unlike Rogue and Barbarian that we did earlier, they have so many ways to just actually get the resource, and they get it by a lot. They get it by 10, you know, so they get a lot of resource just by doing basic attacks. They can activate abilities to get the resource. So the sorcerer will be interesting. I hope you guys enjoy this. So let's get into it without dragging the intro so long. So to start off with our basics, so we're gonna start with Frostbolt. Now, I really wanted to make a lightning PvP build for this class, but I think I'm really gonna have to play the game and do a lot of testing to see, because I really want to use this because we can get increased crit, and if we get increased crit, we can cost CCs. But the problem is like I can't regenerate mana with this ability, right? And I can only regenerate mana with this. I can only regenerate mana with Firebolt, and then I don't even think Arclash you can regenerate mana. Yeah, so you can't even regenerate mana with this. Again, when we're talking about PvP, this is like the biggest issue you're gonna have to solve. So I feel like these are really gonna have to be the initial picks for you guys in PvP. Now, like I said, I haven't gone through making a whole legendary build because I want to experience that for myself fresh in the game. I don't want to spoil that for me by going through and looking at every piece of armor that everybody found right now. And I think it's silly of me to make you guys an actual quote-unquote PvP build when I haven't PvP'd yet. So I'd rather just show you guys skills and talk about things that we can talk about in the comment section and discuss ideas and have some fun. I'm just super excited and I just want to talk PvP. So that's why I'm making this series. Now for our core skill, we're going to go with Ice Shards. Obviously, like if you're going to go Ice build, I think Ice Shards is the must. It hits hard. It's very good. It has the ability to AoE. So example, if we freeze someone, it's going to 40% chance to ricochet. This would help like in a 1vx situation. But we went ahead and went with Destructive Ice Shard because the goal when I'm fighting the opponent I'm going to be battling is I really want to make sure that I can make them vulnerable as much as possible. Because the vulnerability is going to give me 20% increased damage against them. And then as you're going to see with this build, we're going to have super high crit. So if we have super high crit with the ability to guarantee vulnerability on an enemy, we're going to be doing so much damage in PvP, it's going to be nuts. Now, for our next ability, we're going to go with Teleport for obvious reasons for mobility. I was really not going to use it, but because I'm going down this road, like this setup of a build, I figured I had room for it this time around. So we're gonna go with Teleport. Obviously, we're gonna get the upgrade, and then we're gonna go with the Shimmering Teleport. I think this is just the obvious choice. A 30% damage reduction for 5 seconds. You're gonna need this, especially with getting the passive Glass Cannon, which is gonna increase your damage by 18%. And you take 9% more damage. Again, guys, please get this even in PvP. 18% more damage. This is gonna be nuts. You have to think about it like this. We're gonna have 18% bonus damage. We're going to have the ability to cause vulnerability, which is going to give us 20% increased damage. And we have guaranteed vulnerability. We don't have to build towards it. We just have it. And we do that by just using Ice Shards. Again, we're going to hit the 5 shards that we fire anyway. So this right here, like, you know, you're just stacking the damage at this point. We're at, that's going to put us at 38% increased damage. So nuts. And we haven't even gone into like any more increased damage as we'll get to later in the skill trees. Now we're gonna use Ice Armor, obvious reasons. This is gonna be like our lifeblood. This is gonna help keep us alive. And also while we have it, we do get mana regeneration. So this is kind of another one of our regenerator sources. I really went the Ice and Fire route because sustain is my biggest thing. I want to be able to sustain against people that I fight. If I find if I find that like that's not an issue for me as a player, then I will probably go more the lightning fire route, because the lightning fire route I can get more crit, and I can still take advantage of vulnerability through Frost Nova right here, because Frost Nova, you can freeze enemies. It's a guaranteed CC on them. You know, it reduces its cooldown by 1 second up to 4 seconds by freezing enemies, so this is pretty nice. And then like I said, it's going to make people vulnerable, so this is another guaranteed vulnerability. So that's why I was saying, after I do more testing, I will mess with the lightning skill tree. But I think right now, for me, going into Diablo 4, this is going to be my setup, and this might even be my build going into launch to beat the campaign in terms of skills. I know this might sound funny. You guys are looking, saying, what kind of build is this for PvE? But I might take this into PvE to beat the campaign. Going down... Now, by this point, we definitely have obviously unlocked our first enchantment slot, and for that, we are going to go with Firebolt. The reason I'm going with Firebolt, I know a lot of people are going to say to go with Arc Lash, because we're going to be using a lot of cooldowns like Nova, Ice Armor, Teleport, and this would be like a nice stun. But the reason why I'm not going to go with it is because I want to see how CC works in PvP. I want to know, okay, is there like CC immunity? Because if that's true, you're going to be spamming abilities as a sorcerer a lot. You're going to be rotating between them, so you're going to be casting cooldowns left and right. So I feel like if there is immunity, you kind of miss out on certain opportunities to use this. Versus Firebolt, you're going to see it's going to give us so much crit damage in PvP, and on top of that, guys, it's just going to give us a dot damage. It's going to give us constant damage on our opponents. Even if they get away, they're still going to be taking some form of damage. And then the second enchantment that we went with is going to be Flame Shield. Now, Flame Shield is really, really good, guys. I truly believe that this is going to be the meta pick for the Sorcerer in PvP. Like, I feel like if you're PvPing without Flame Shield, you're kind of like shooting yourself in the foot, because this is a guaranteed like get out of jail free card. If you get critical, like you're about to die, this will activate. And then if you guys did not know this, the reason why you see that I have points in here is because we don't really care for the movement speed. Like, it's whatever, it's cool, but we want this part right here. Flame Shield heals you for 50% of your missing life. This is crazy. I was messing with this in the open beta. Like, I got to the point where like I trained myself, right, to not drink potions. I was like, okay, you're not going to drink potions. You are going to just take advantage of this and wait till you activate it, and then you can start taking your potions. And I trained myself to get like that, and this thing was so good. I like never died. It was amazing. It even saved me against a Shava. Like, if I messed up and I didn't like dodge at the right time or something, like I would get fatal, this would proc, and it actually saved me. So like I said, this busted. I recommend 10 out of 10. You guys should have this as your enchantment, as one of them. Then the other ones, definitely feel free to play with. So we talked about these abilities. Now we're going to increase our lucky hit chance, because we actually have a lot of things with lucky hit with this build that I want to take advantage of, and you guys are going to see that a little later. Over here on these passives, align the elements. Now this one's interesting because obviously you can't take damage, you know, to get this buff to activate, but if I'm correct, players should count as elites. So if you're in a PvP zone and a player doesn't damage you, you know, you're gonna get damage reduction. Or like, let's say enemies don't damage you, you're gonna get damage reduction. So this right here might be very good. So I only put 1 point in it because I need to test it to really like see how good it's gonna be. And then I picked Mana Shield for obvious reasons. Every time you spend 100 mana, you gain 50% damage reduction. You're probably going to be doing this pretty often with this setup. And like I said, this is going to also help to counteract Glass Cannon at times where you're taking increased damage. And then Protection. This right here, again, this is a must-have for Sorcerer, because every Sorcerer most likely is going to either be using Teleport or they're going to be using Frost Nova. I think those two abilities are guaranteed in almost everyone's builds, whether that be PvE or PvP, because they're like so good. You can't really pass them up. Teleport's a great mobility skill, also gives you damage reduction. On top of that, Frost Nova is AoE freeze, and it gives vulnerability to all enemies in the area. Again, you can't pass that up. So I feel like Protection is going to be a must pick for everybody. Now, for the mastery skills, I didn't pick any of these. Again, because we're talking about PvP, and I would really rather have chased the passives here. And this is kind of what I'm talking about, guys, when I say like why we went with Firebolt for our enchant. So obviously we had to put 1 point in here. We're not using any fire skills, but Devouring Blaze, you deal 30% increased critical strike damage against burning enemies. If they are also immobilized, this bonus is increased to 75%. So we have 30% increased critical strike damage, guys. That's at all times, because you got to remember, Firebolt's direct damage from skills applies an additional burning. So if I hit you with Frostbolt, you're burning. If I hit you with Ice Shards, you're burning. If I hit you with Frost Nova, you're burning. You know, so this is just, again, this is just guaranteed. Even if you just teleport, because teleport does do damage. If I teleport through you, I'm gonna light you on fire. So again, we are gonna have 30% increased critical strike damage against people that we fight at all times. Now right here, ICVL, increased barrier duration. I think this is like a no-brainer. This right here is going to give you about an extra like second or so on your shield, so it's going to add up. Then while you have a barrier, you apply more chill. Again, this also works with Flame Shield. So if you get critical and you're about to die and Flame Shield activates, boom, you get 24% more chill. Now again, if this happens to you, to be realistic, you're probably not going to take advantage of this passive. You're probably going to be trying to run and get out of there, but still, it's a good passive to have, and I would definitely recommend picking this one up as well. Now getting into the ultimate, we're going to go Inferno. And the reason why we're going to go Inferno is I feel like for PvP, this is just a no-brainer. It has the shortest cooldown out of both skills, and on top of that, it's going to help to apply burn, which again, is going to add that 30% increased critical strike damage to the target. So like I said, if this crits on the burning enemy, they're going to get nuked. And then on top of that, it also has like an AoE polling ability, which is why I want this. This is more for like 1vx and trying to like keep my opponent like grounded. And this will buy me some time to like get them down, to burst them. And like I said, continue to kill them. And then for the ultimate passive, we went with Avalanche. And the reason why we did this is because if this can proc, right? Like, so for example, if our Ice Shards can trigger this lucky hit, and we can do 80% increased damage to them, because they will be vulnerable with Ice Shards all the time. This is going to help to nuke, and it's going to cost no mana. So this is going to help with sustain and help with damage. And like I said, this is why we went with the increased lucky hit chance, because we want to try to get this to proc as much as possible. Now to get more into the ice passives down here. Your frost skills deal 10% increased damage to elites. Again, players, if I'm correct, they should count as elites. Don't quote me on that. This is testing. We're going to have to really see in PvP, are players considered elites? I feel like they are. I swear I remember the devs saying that. Again, don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure. When I find out, I will let you guys know. You deal 9% increased damage to chilled enemies and 18% to frozen. Again, guys, like I said, we're going to be chilling everybody with just this ability. So by hitting them one time with Frostbolt, we're doing 9% increased damage. And then 18% to frozen enemies. Again, if we keep hitting them, they're going to freeze. And we have a guaranteed freeze. So you guys can see how this damage is insane. So we have 18% damage right here. We have 20% increased damage because we made them vulnerable. And where's the other? There was another passive here where we got to do increased damage. Where is it? Hold on. Guys, I'm drawing a blank. I'm so sorry. Oh yeah, here we go. And your frost skills deal 10% increased damage to elites. So again, if this all stacks, right, you're gonna get. Oh, I didn't even read you guys this one. So yeah, we're gonna do 18% increased damage to frozen enemies, which this is going to make them frozen and vulnerable. We're going to have 20% plus the 18%. So what does that put us at? 38%. Then we're going to have 12. So that's going to be 50%. And then we're going to be using our frost skills. So that's 10%. That's 60% increased damage. If this all works, we're looking at 60% increased damage to the player. Guys, this is nuts. 60% increased damage. And then on top of 60%, we also have 30% increased critical strike damage. Now, listen to this. if this immobilized trait or perk procs on frozen, because technically if you're frozen, you are immobilized. If that's how that works, guys, you're talking about 60% increased damage to the target. And then you're talking about getting potentially 75% increased critical strike damage. I don't think you guys are comprehending like just how much like burst potential you have if all of this lines up together. And then if we come over here, you know, burning enemies gives you mana regeneration. That's why we went with that, just to help with our sustain. And then right here, you deal increased burning damage to enemies for each second they remain burning. So again, our little dot over time, we're just giving it a little buff right here. And then down here, you want to go all the way. So every 1 second, you heal for 1% of your maximum life for each nearby burning enemy. So again, the devs did say that bosses are considered elites. Okay, they did say that bosses are considered elites. So if elites are also considered players, you're looking at getting a maximum of 1.8% health regeneration for standing next to a burning player. So you guys see like how we're gonna have survivability, we're gonna have sustain, and we're gonna have insane burst damage in PvP. Again, we're gonna have to see how this all plays, guys. I hope you guys did enjoy this video. Remember, this is all speculation. This is all for fun. And guys, tell me in the comment section down below if you agree with some of the choices I made in this setup, or tell me if you disagree. Tell me if you think I'm underestimating how strong Lightning Sorcerer for PvP would be. Again, I really hope it's good, because that's kind of like my favorite element in the game. But I'm going to do more physical testing on that before I give you guys a legitimate build. Remember, guys, next video coming up is going to be over the Druid. And then we're going to end off on the Necromancer. So if you guys are enjoying these videos, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, because when Diablo 4 comes out, I will be posting so much PvP content for you guys, so many builds, and so many setups, and even some PvE content for you guys if you're more interested in that. I want to make sure I cater to all of you, but like I said, we're really going to focus on the PvP side of things, especially at launch, because I think that's where everybody's really curious about, is like what's going to be good, what's going to be meta, and what's not going to be good. So again, guys, without repeating myself 1,000 times, thank you so much. I appreciate all the growth so far that I've gotten since we've started. You guys seem to be loving these videos, so I will continue to make them for you. You guys have a great night, and as always, peace.